We have another great video. This time I'm going to be doing another new project. I love to do these because I get to get a diversity of videos into my channel and of course make it entertaining and interesting for you guys. As always, y'all can leave me any comments and any suggestions down below. But for today's video, I'm going to be taking a pattern that I bought from Etsy and I'm going to be making it into the actual product if everything turns out correctly. This is going to be my first time using a pattern because all my other products that I do make on my own, the ones that I make for my small business, those are all my own patterns. I've never bought in one off of Etsy and then try to make it into something. So this is going to be my first time. Hopefully the instructions are clear enough so I can actually go through with the product. I don't want to waste materials. We know that can be very costly and expensive. And then my throat's been hurting a little bit. It's kind of sore. I feel like a little tickle in my throat, but that's why I'm drinking my warm tea. I think it's chamomile. I think that's what it is. Hopefully. But yeah, this is going to be a personal project anyway, so we're totally good. Now sitting you guys over here, first thing I'm going to do is set up my printer. I have to clear out the space over here. I'm not really sure why I have that bin there, but I definitely need a lot more shelves in my room. Like you can see this complete empty wall in the back. If I had this full of shelves, super helpful in organizing my space. But anyways, I do need to get the printer set up so I can go ahead and print out the pattern because that's one of the first things. Without the pattern, I can't continue with this project. And that's what I bought first of all, so I do have to get that. I think in this instructions, they do also have a video, so that's also going to be really helpful. So like I said, let me remove this bin from here and make a mess on a different section. I need space, you guys, but we try to organize this room. If you guys have any ideas, anything that particularly works for you when it comes to organizing your space, definitely let me know down below. This Cricut fits perfectly up here. I have some space underneath it as well. I also have a video. I might end up posting it later or before, but you guys will see how I redid this space over here to make it more comfortable because it was not like this before. But let's get our printer set up. I always keep this plugged in so I don't have to keep worrying about turning it on or disconnecting and connecting. That's actually why I left it on this corner because my cord is really close to the outlet. So that would be one of my tips for you guys. Try to keep your printer close to the outlet. That can seem like an obvious one, but you know, in the moment when you have a lot of things to worry about, it's not always that easy. I also put my paper up here for when I need it. I would just be able to get it down and then restock it on my printer itself. Alrighty, we're definitely doing some progress here. Getting my laptop, getting the printer. I'm holding my little microphone with one hand. That's why it's kind of a struggle to open up my laptop. And a sip of my warm tea because of course I'm trying to get better. Okay, so I'm printing it out of 100 and so far it's looking really big on my screen, but I'll just have to see when I actually print it out. And hopefully my printer does not jam up because it's been doing that for a while, but I'm definitely not going to replace it just yet. I'm going to push it as much as it can. Okay, so I'm all done. I have a collection of 5 different pages for this pattern. I'm trying not to show it too much just to respect the person that did create this template. But obviously this is just a behind the scenes video, so cutting it up, putting it up together. Like I mentioned, this is one of my first templates that I am using to create a product, so I really got to follow these instructions and hopefully I don't get too distracted because I'm also making this video, so I got to go back and forth, hitting record on my phone and then hitting pause. I'd be running super low on storage, so I can't just keep it running the entire time. I would like to buy a camera in the future, but that's why with your support, it gets me a little bit closer to achieving a milestone like that. Now, I'm limited in space when it comes to this section because I do have my printer, I have my Cricut section, I also have my heat press. So I'm going to go over to the other side of my desk. I'm taking all my sheets of paper with me because, of course, we got to get these cut up. And yeah, so let's move on over. Now, thankfully, I did buy a second desk because I don't know how I would do it with just having one desk. That's how I started off, but you know, slowly but surely, I ended up buying my second desk, thanks to God, and yeah, it's been a blessing so far. So transfer my pages over. Now I'm left with these panels, so it's time to get the fabric. I do have my stash over here, so I'll get that right now. The next big challenge is to decide exactly what fabric I'm going to want to use. I can use one of these new ones or maybe recycle something. Let's go over there to that section. So these are all fabrics that I have. It's basically clothing that I've bought in from thrifting online. Well, my microphone ran out of batteries, so I have to continue this video, but I ended up selecting this red and white material. It's a pretty simple pattern. Now I'm going to lay it on my desk so I can stretch out the fabric and see just how much I have. In order to determine if it is enough, I have to put my stencils over this product so I can see if I'm gonna have material for it. And one of my tips would be that you can also recycle your own clothing. You don't necessarily have to buy a bunch of new fabrics because that costs money. Just recycle what you have. This one's a dress, so I think dresses are great to work with because they have a lot of extra material. Now I'm just going to see if there is going to be enough, and even if there wasn't, you can always like mix match material, so that's also another good tip. So at this point, step number 1 has been completed, and that was to choose the fabric that you want to use for this project, whether that is something more simple or a fabric that has a lot of design. But after you select that, I recommend flipping your garment inside out, and the purpose of this is to be able to cut off the seams. Specifically, if you're using a dress, you want to cut off the left and the right side seams. That way you would have the skirt portion that you can open up. In order to cut the sides, you can use a seam ripper, but that would take a lot more time. So what I recommend is to place a ruler over the seam, leaving a little bit of space so you can just pass your roller cutter over it, and it'll help you get a nice and smoother finish. Now it doesn't have to be a perfect cut as long as you're able to open it up and have a full panel of fabric to work with. After you're done cutting the sides, I would recommend flipping your garment the right way. That way you can cut off the top portion from the skirt portion, since the bottom part would have a lot more fabric and that would be your main focus. But if you did want, you could also take the top and cut off the bottom cinch, at least depending on the dress that you have. For this product, it does have it that way. I also cut off the side seams, and I wanted to focus on the bottom. That way I could also use of this extra scrap of fabric. I knew it would be for the smaller pattern pieces because some of the other ones were already looking much larger as I was measuring them up. And then I had placed this one on top of it and I was gonna decide to cut it, but I was like, wait, it doesn't really make sense because the garment is not straight. Like it still needs to be ironed. So I preheated my iron and I was like, okay, let me press this first. That way I don't mess up any of the cuts. Because I'm already limited on fabric, so it wouldn't make sense to mess up this particular piece, and then when I need it for the rest of the project, I don't know what to supplement it for. So if you are able to, I would definitely recommend ironing your pieces before you make any cuts. So now back on my cutting mat, I decided not to cut off one of the sides for the top since I needed it for the length of one of the patterns. This is all the scrap fabric that I had left after I had already aligned everything up together, my front sides, all the straps. I was ready with my pins. I have way too many on my arm, but that's what the little cushion is for. Again, I got this at the Dollar Tree. Super helpful, super valuable. And then it was time to get the sewing machine ready to go. So I got started with my first strap, and it's always nerve-wracking because I don't want to mess it up. And this fabric is very different than the usual cotton that I'm working with. And when it came to the straps, I actually decided to add some interfacing because I want the final result of the bag to have sturdiness when it comes to the straps. I didn't have to do this extra step, but I really focused on quality, and then I could dedicate my attention to the quilting, which is time consuming, but it's definitely worth it. Quick check-in, and you guys, this project is super complicated. This is what I have so far, and I still have a very long way to go. It does not look like a bag so far, but that's why this is a new project. It does take a lot of time because you're figuring out measurement, how exactly do you have to cut it, what kind of seams do you have to do. So that's my experience right now, but I really want to complete this project. I don't want to leave it on the side and just give up on it. So hopefully we can continue to go through with this and actually make it happen. For the progress, this is the bottom portion of the baggie. I already have the strap. Now I just have to attach the pieces. Then one of my favorite parts, which is making the final seam to the top of the bag, and this just gives it a clean and professional look. And I love that my sewing machine has the compartment that I can remove to be able to easily rotate this part. Was able to fix up the pouch, and now it has a little bit more of a shape. You can see the edges. Now, yes, we need to continue with the straps, and that's the last step, I think, for this project. So now with my full strap, I was like, wow, do I really need this much? Like, it looks really long, and if I need to replicate it with my own fabrics, it's definitely going to take a lot to work with. But when I made the actual knots, I was like, wait, this actually might be the correct amount that I do need. You guys, I got the bag straps on, and now this product looks super cute. I'm going to try to take a step back. I have my chair over here that's kind of blocking me. But just a little side view. Look at how cute this is. And even then, the straps are not adjusted all the way. Otherwise, it'd probably be like up to my waist. But it's such a cutie bag. It works as a crossbody. Let me put it over. Just like this. It is adorable. I love this style of bag. It's my first time making this style. Because what I have done are the tote bags that I have here in the back. Let me show you. Like, I've done this style, but this one's obviously really different from the crossbody. But either way, I like both of them. Well, after a lot of work and a lot of sewing, this product is finally complete. I love the outcome. It came out exactly how I wanted it to. The straps are adjustable. I just don't have it tied from the front right now. That's why it can look a little wonky, but it definitely does turn out to be like a nice square finish. I'm gonna give you guys a little close up. Like, even the stitching, just everything around it. Absolutely love this product. I almost felt like giving up, but I was like, no, I have to complete this project. And we were able to make it. I thought it was going to take me 2 days because I was already several hours into this item, but it is my first pattern. It is my first time making this particular style of bags, but now that I've gotten to practice, now I'm a lot more familiar with everything. And I've given a tip before, do not rush when you're making products. I've made the mistake so many times, and then I end up with products that are just so short or they don't line up well. So taking your time is just the best thing to do, and then the end results are worth it. But if you're trying to rush through a project, then you're having to make a lot of adjustments and it's not really worth it. But that's going to be it for today's video. I don't want to make it too long, nor do I want to make it too short. Hopefully it's a nice good 10 minutes, but I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like because that really helps me out, and I'll see you when I post my next video. And sorry if my voice is a little bit fading. I am recovering from a cough. But like I said, this project's going to be for me, so no needs to worry there. But still, I hope you guys were able to get the value out of this clip.